What's up, Scrappy peeps? It's Adele from Inkie Quill, and welcome back to Scrap Stash Saturday. Today, I'm diving into my scraps bag. I keep all of my paper scraps in a 13 by 13 inch Ziploc bag, and it's starting to get a little full. So I thought it was time to bring back the oldie but goldie Scrap Stash Saturday series and try and use up some of my bits and pieces. So today I am doing a multiple photo layout. I've got these photos from when we had Archie's first flight. We went down to Tasmania, to non-Aussie abbreviated speaking people, and we flew down to Tassie. It's about an hour and a half from where I am, from Sydney Airport, and it was really fun getaway, and Archie coped pretty good with the flight. He didn't cry the whole way, a few little tears, but he was pretty good. I am starting off with some basil marshmallow cardstock, and I'm going to just do kind of like an ombre-ish type blob, and I wanted something to build off in the background. And when I make a mixed media background, I know that I'm going to cover up a lot of it, but I try to do a large area so that I have a bit of space to tweak where exactly I want my photo to go. I also added some modelling paste through a Tim Holtz stencil, and I'm trying to figure out how to cluster my photos, if I want them straight across or if I want them in a clump. And I decided to go for the clump look. And I really like how this layout came together. I often struggle with multiple photo layouts, and I didn't go for the clump. I thought I went for the clump. I didn't. I went for the straight across. But I do struggle with multiple photo layouts sometimes, just because, especially with a 9x12 size, sometimes I feel a little restricted in where I can stick the photos, if that makes sense. I feel a bit claustrophobic with my paper. With a 12x12, there is that little bit more freedom, I guess, because it is a square format. There's a little bit more wiggle room as well with how you can cluster them together. But I've been really enjoying it lately. I've been doing a lot of multiple photo layouts in my 2018 albums. And yeah, it's working well for me, I think, so far. Maybe, perhaps. I still do like my single photo layouts, though, I will admit that. I'm just sticking this now onto some packaging that I had in my scraps box, or bag, I should say. Whenever I get packaging that looks a little bit interesting, or I think I can use it again, I do also shove it into my bag of tricks. Just because they do come in handy sometimes, especially if it's more of a neutral pattern. So there, that grey and white stripe is a real neutral kind of piece that you can pair with some of these busier pieces of paper. That star one there is actually one of my October Patreon printables that I printed multiple copies on one page to make kind of a background scrapbook paper. And then I wanted to bring in some of the orange or yellowy tones, just because Archie's wearing a yellow jumper in that middle photo, and then the end photo has a bit of a warm undertone to it. We look a bit yellow. I think it was just the lighting in the plane, and so I just wanted to bring in some of those warm tones as well. I've got these tiny little scraps, and this piece is actually off one of my favourite papers of all time. If you're a long time inklet, and I'm talking maybe 3 years ago, I was obsessed with this wood grain paper. It was a crepe paper one. I have a feeling it was from Notes and Things, the collection. And on one side, it was a peachy orange polka dot. On the other side, it was a geometric wood grain with little splashes of pink and blue in it. And I love that paper so dearly, and I think this is my last piece, because I did buy up a few pieces when they first came out, and I have been holding on to that tiny little scrap, determined to use it somehow, and I'm glad that I got it on there. I used some wet glue, some Scotch tacky glue, to stick down my photo mat because of the modelling paste in the background, because tape would not adhere to that. Next up, I've grabbed this little world, which was one of my, I think it was either May or June Patreon printables. Could have been June, I think. And I decided to include that as well because, let's be real, I've only been on a plane 4 times. Yeah, 4 times in my life. 2 of those were this year, and previous to that I haven't been on a plane for years and years and years, and those photos were before I was scrapbooking, and so I've never had the need to scrapbook any flying photos. So when I do have that opportunity, I want to put on all the travel items, everything travel-y that I possibly have in my stash. This is another one of my, I think it's June printables. I think this was from June, and I have a video that is hopefully going up this week sometime, updating guys on Patreon. We've been battling sickness over here if you've been following along with my videos, and I haven't had a chance to delete them yet, but at the moment there is over a year, there's a year and like 4 or 5 months worth of printables on Patreon, but I will be deleting all of them at the end of October except for the last 2 months, and that's how it's going to stay from now on. So there will hopefully be a video up this week giving you more details about that. So if you watch this video not when it comes out in months to come, then this printable won't be available anymore. I am struggling with the big ephemera pieces, and I know we've chatted a lot about this over on Scrapaholics Anonymous, my Facebook group, and also just in the comment section of videos, but they're just getting so much bigger. Every collection that comes out, they just seem to grow, and it's hard when I find it difficult, especially working in this 9x12 format. You need smaller little pieces that you can squeeze in here and squeeze in there. I went through this is the Here and Now, I think it's called, collection from Crate Paper that came out earlier this year, and I found one of the pieces of paper has this little Sydney piece on it, so I definitely wanted to include that. Cut out one of the planes from my printables, and just so that I could get some smaller pieces in there. In saying that, I do finally use this giant whopper of a piece. This is like an aeroplane window, but looking at it now, I know it's an aeroplane window, but why are they stacked on top of each other? Why is it not sideways? It's like a triple-decker plane instead of... it baffles my mind a little bit. But I wanted to use it, and also had that nice yellow that perfectly matched his jumper. And same with this Travel Life. I really was determined to make the Travel Life work as well. So I'm just having a bit of a play, and I will admit I was a little stumped. I had a big filming day, the day that I did this, and this was the first video I filmed of the day. In the first video, I'm usually a little unsure of my creative choices. I don't have as much motivation to just stick and plonk, and I have to kind of force myself to jump into that mindset and just, if I'm satisfied with where it goes, just stick it on there without trying to find somewhere better. Just pop it down, move on to the next piece. But as you can see with this little Sydney piece, I jumped around a lot. I think I had a lot of trouble with this piece because it was diamond shape. It's not a typical shape that I scrap with, either with background pieces or with ephemera pieces. So yeah, it was a little bit tricky. So I'm sticking that bit down, and while I'm sticking all this down, I'm trying to have a bit of a think about what title I want to do. I definitely know I want to put my title in that bottom section down there, but I'm trying to figure out what I want to call it. And I've been really enjoying lately mixing up 2 different types of alphabet stickers. I just think it makes it a little fun, and it's also a bit playful with the different sizes. I like to have a small one and a large one. And so I decided to call it Archie's First Flight because I'm very generic, and that's what this photo is. And I go with this older foam It's like a navy little foam thicker. I do really like this font. However, I find fonts that have both the capitals and the lowercase harder to use than packets of thickers that are just lowercase or capitals. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on thickers, because I don't know, I struggle, I think, when there's too many options. Like, do I do Archie's in capitals and make it a bit more capitally, or I wanted to mix it up because I thought it looked good with the map print for the first flight. I don't know. It baffled me a little bit at the time of doing it. Next up, I just wanted to add something under the Archie's first flight. This page is actually opposite a Project Life page in my album that's got our first day in Tassie, and so I'll probably do a majority of my journaling over there. So I didn't really need to do a lot of journaling on here. So I just wanted to add something bright and colourful in that bottom corner, and I grabbed some of my tiny word strips from those June Patreon printables and stick them down here. And I also really wanted to use them because they were travelly words, and like I said, we don't travel often, so when we do, I want to use all the travel items that I can. So then I wanted to just squeeze in just a sentence of journaling. So I was trying to figure out where to put it. I'm just using my Pilot Jig 2 pen, which is my new fave. I bought my fave pen of all time. I don't know if I could say of all time. My favourite pen currently is a Rotring Tiki Graphic 0.2. It's a very nice felt tip type pen. But they're a bit pricey. I think they're about $10 each from Eckersley's here in Oz, and I love to use them. I do, however, break them quite easily, which is why this Pilot one's good, because it's pretty indestructible. And so I treated myself to 2 new pens, but I have put them in a special safe place and have yet to find them. I have a feeling they might be in my old handbag or in my car, one or the other. Time for some Heidi Shine, so I'm just shaking that up. And then before I Heidi Shine, I wanted to add, you can see here, I added some of the asterixes from Astrici? I think they're asterixes. What's the plural of asterix? Let's call them asterixes. Astrices? Now the word's not making sense at all in my head. Now, you know when you say a word too many times and it just doesn't become a word anymore, it's just gobbledygook. Anyway, I added some of those things onto my page from the Thickers sheets, and they really did help to tie in the alphas as well. And I'm just adding a few little enamel hearts and then some Heidi Shine perhaps. Oh, there it is. Here comes the Heidi Shine, splattering here, splattering there. In the end, I really love how this page came out. It's quite a different, I don't know, it just has a bit of a different colour scheme or feel than I have been doing lately. I feel like it's a bit of a fresh, crisp kind of layout rather than densely coloured, even though it does have a lot of colour on it. I don't know. Or it could just be because of the photos. They make me think of crisp, fresh air. I don't know. But I really like the way that it turned out in the end. Hope you guys did too. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you'd like to see some more Scrap Stash Saturday videos. And I'll see you very soon. Bye.